Welcome to this webinar about AI-driven supplier onboarding. In the next 30 minutes, we will tell you about how you can use AI for the onboarding of supplier product data. I'm very excited that we can co-host this webinar together with our partner, ProPlanet in the UK, and also Wayne Jarvis has entered this webinar. Well, we are first going to talk about ourselves a little bit so that you know who we are, so the introduction. But also we're going to talk about what kind of problems that usually happen when you are onboarding data from your suppliers. And also, of course, how you can use AI to solve these kind of problems. And we're going to end this with some key takeaways and also the room for some questions and answers. So if you have any questions, there's also a chat option. Please feel free to ask them. And during the course of this webinar or at the end, we will have some time to answer these. But first, let's start with the introduction. So Wayne, can you please introduce yourself and ProPlanet?
Yeah, thank you, Hoos. Yeah, so Wayne Jarvis, I'm director of ProPlanet UK. We've been operating around 6 years plus in the UK market, but we've been, as ProPlanet, established over 25 years in the Netherlands and the DACH regions. We're actually rebranding, so a bit of a sneak preview as we're rebranding to Meteo, and our PIM solution is to be known as Etimix going forward. So the customers of ours, you can see that using our PIM is now branded Etimix. Yeah, so ProPlanet, we specialize in advanced data solutions. We have PIM solutions, e-com integrations, and also our e-com own bespoke solutions for customers as well. We've got extensive knowledge of ETIM, as well as GS1 and USPSC classifications. We have over 150 plus customers. We operate UK, Netherlands, Romania, Italy, and Spain with over 40 plus employees. And importantly, we do have our own in-house development team and our services to support that as well, including data services, of course. Next slide, please. So we are co-founders of ETIM, as like we said. So any of you guys that are on your ETIM journey, with data mapping to ETIM, classifying your products to ETIM, then, like I say, give us a shout. And we've got more details on our website as well. We also support, let's say, the GS1 and USPSC, as well as other classification structures. We operate in the electrotechnical, building materials, HVAC, plumbing, bathroom supplies, marine and plumbing sectors, but we also have customers in the food sector as well. Most of our customers are internationally based, from manufacturers, wholesalers, distributors, and the builders, merchants, buying groups, as well as industry data pools. Next slide, please. Within the Etimix PIM solution, it's modular. So it's a modular solution. We have customers that are holding 200 to 300 SKUs to manufacturers and wholesalers of 6 million SKUs. And within the PIM solution itself, you can store product information, logistics, volumetric data, supply chain information, pricing, trade packaging, surcharges, media, and multiple different types of assets, as well as certification and data governance as well. As we've seen, data governance and product sustainability information is a growing requirement to store within a PIM solution. Next slide, please. So with our solution, it's like I say, there's many benefits of using a PIM that is varied in its features and functionalities. And you'll see here I've just listed some key features. But again, if you want to see our website, then there's much more around on the website of what we do offer and what our solution provides. And if you're interested in the PIM, then please give us a call after this webinar. Next slide, please, Hoos. So what we found is that as we provide PIM solutions, like I said, which is modular, and the complexity of the PIM and how we can support manufacturers and wholesalers with data and storing that within the PIM itself, What we also find is that manufacturers and businesses and wholesalers are looking for how to manage their data. And we provided a data service now for some time that we have helped customers, particularly in the area of the industry of electrotechnical and the building sector, with trade associations such as EDA and BMF, the Builders Merchants Federation. So with those members, they adopt the templates or standardization templates. And we've supported these members with mapping their data, enriching their data, and classifying their data to these templates. And with our solution within Etamix, you can schedule import and export routines, as well as of the APIs, of course. But what we're seeing is data being much more a complex set of data, not only with customer-facing data, attribute set of data and ETIM data, but then data how to manage much more on, let's say, product sustainability, as well as CRM information. Next slide, please. So there are a number of challenges with data, of course, and like I said, across different silos within businesses. But one of the key ones that we see is, particularly with wholesalers, that want to improve their data from their web shops. So you see where they have got a number of challenges that I've listed here. But it's around getting their data into much more of a place of an enrichment, using the ETIM data for search and facets, searching on websites, and enriching that data for much more product search and findability for customers. So what we've done is that, like I say, we've worked in the industry for some time, and we've worked with data services with customers. But what we're seeing is that taking that to the next level of using AI technology, and that's hence why we partnered with Squadra and Hughes's team. So what we see now is really working with customers as in helping support with bulk data gap analysis, data enrichment on much more of a higher level using AI. So that's a higher level of an introduction from myself, and free to give me a call after the webinar if you want more information about what we offer as ProPlanet, but also how we then support with and work with Squadra and Hughes. Hughes, I think that's over to you now.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you very much for your introduction. A very brief introduction from my side as well. For the people who don't know me, I am the founder of Squadra Machine Learning Company, and we focus on applying data science and AI. And we mainly do this for manufacturers, for wholesalers, and for retailers. And within this, we have quite a strong focus on what we call smart product data management. So how can we sort of smart and without too much manual effort, make sure that the product quality product data is up to the right levels, and also that the products can be found and are converted in the right way. We call this AI commerce. We are part of the Squadra group. We are already doing this for a lot of customers. And one of the solutions that we have is that we have developed our own SaaS solution, software as a service, which is the Power Suite. I'm not going to do in very much detail right now, but just explain what AI is able to help on this in this area. We are working for a lot of manufacturers, wholesalers, and retailer organizations, not just in the Netherlands, but also in other parts of Europe, so in Germany, in France, in Belgium, Italy, UK, etc. I'm not going through all the names. You might recognize some of them or some not, but then you know what we are working for. Well, if you take a look at the Power Suite, then we have 4 main modules that actually help with saving time, and because a lot of manual work is currently quite a lot being done. And with the use of AI, we are able to reduce the amount of manual work. And that's not just at all, because also if you have better product data, better quality of your product data, better completion rates, and then it's also clear that you also are able to make extra revenue. And this really is quite beneficial, because it goes up to a 35% increase in the revenue that we see within our customers. Well, we have 4 main modules. I'm not going to explain all of them. We're going to talk about automatic classification of product data, converting product data, and enriching product data, which are actually the first 2 modules, the Power Class and the Improve. At this webinar, we're not going to talk about the automatic generation of SEO text, so SEO optimized product titles and descriptions, or the detection of relations like accessories or variant relations. But it's also part of the Power Suite. So let's take a look at the problem statement. So you suppose you are a wholesaler or retailer, and okay, great, you've just implemented a new PIM system, and you have a great data model, maybe even standardized to ETIM or others, and you have maybe even an onboarding solution, and you ask your suppliers, well, deliver all the data. And what you expect actually is to say, well, okay, great, this is where all our data is in your format, in the data standards that you required. Everything is perfect. Well, in reality, of course, it's a bit difficult, a bit more difficult, because only a part of the suppliers is able to deliver the data in the way that you want it. And a lot of other suppliers are only partially able to deliver the data, or to deliver it in their own format, or maybe not complete, or they say, well, it's in our PDF or it's on our website. Well, some even don't have the ability to deliver any data at all. Well, this is really a common situation, and well, it's quite difficult to onboard the supplier's data. We have identified 4 types of categories of suppliers. The first one is actually the most perfect one, because they are delivering in your format to your standards. Well, that is something that you can quite easily onboard the data. So this is the category of suppliers that we're not going to talk about in this webinar, because, well, usually there are not a lot of problems onboarding these. The data might not be 100% complete, but at least they deliver the data that they have. A lot of times, suppliers are able to deliver some form of structured data, at least a price list usually, but also some other product features, maybe in an Excel format, CSV format, maybe other formats, but they do not have the time or the knowledge to convert it to your standard, because they might have it in their own descriptions. So, for example, a certain feature which has the name voltage, 220 volts, but in your system it's not called voltage, it's called power. And so we need to sort of convert the voltage into power, and both is of course at 220 volts, but that is typically one of the challenges for these kind of categories of suppliers. The next category is suppliers who only have unstructured data. So they say, well, we have data available, but yeah, here's the textual description. Perfect. Everything that we know about the product is in that description, which is nice. But of course, you would like to have the separate fields of all the features, and they are not able to supply that. Or they say, well, we have a PDF file or maybe some images, which also contain a lot of characteristics of the products. And of course, a lot of times we also see combinations that a part of the data is sent structured in a structured format, and a lot of other parts is sent in an unstructured format. And also the last category are the suppliers who do not have data at all, or not able to deliver the data, but they might have some data on their website. So, well, it is there, but it's not, of course, in a format that you can easily import into the PIM system. So we're also wondering about your situation. So it's time for a short poll. So we really are interested to see, okay, what is your situation? How challenging do you find the current process? Is it going smoothly, or is it very challenging? So either choose 1 or 2 or 3. I see that a lot of people are already entering. So in this case, well, let's give it some more time. I think the most people are answering. It's about 60% right now. It's somewhat challenging, so a bit of in the middle. But I see that very little participants do not have a challenge at all. So most people are recognizing this problem. I will leave it open so you can answer it, and I'll stop it in a minute. Okay, thank you. Well, if we see how can we use AI to help this process, and let's then start with the sort of the most difficult ones. These are the suppliers who do not have any data at all, so they have their website, but that's it. So then we can use intelligence scraping technology, using AI for this, to actually scrape the website. I'll go into a little bit more detail later on. So that means that everything that is on the website, we are able to scrape that and export it into some structured format. Let's assume that's an Excel file. So that if they have the product detail pages, the software is able to extract the features from the product detail pages and put it into an Excel, which gives us structured data, and which is also a perfect starting point to add with the structured data that they might have themselves. So for the suppliers who are able to export, to deliver some way of structured data, we can then use the scrape data, but also their own data to actually convert it. And like I explained, the voltage to power, but also, of course, we need to know what kind of products it are. So we need to classify it to the right taxonomy structure. Well, this is something that both can be done using AI. And then we have structured data in the way that you want it, in your format, according to your data model, which is nice. But then we can maybe add that with some unstructured formats, like PDF files, like images, like text. This is then the other category where we have suppliers who are able to deliver some data, but in a sort of unstructured format. So we are able to enrich it then using those unstructured formats, so that we are able to complete the data as much as possible. And then we have data which is in the right format, but also as complete as possible. And then we can upload it into our PIM and into our onboarding portal. So this is the way that we are able to use AI for this. Like I said, within our Power Suite, we have those modules which are able to do this, but not focused too much on the Power Suite right now. So how does it work? So start with the first one, the scraping. What actually happens is that if we have a certain website like this one, we are able to sort of let AI generate a certain script, a technical program that we can run to actually scrape the data. We still need to help a little bit with that because we need to identify the language. Sometimes the site might have multiple languages and we want to say, well, we want to hear the English one, for example. Sometimes we also need to help it with a little bit of direction in what kind of part of the assortment needs to be scraped. So a couple of information that we need to give it to the AI, and then the AI will generate a certain script to extract all the data and export it into an Excel format. And the way that we do this, it's quite nice because then we have a script that we can also say, well, let's schedule the script to run again next week or next month. So it can periodically scrape the data from the website. So if there are any changes or new products, then we can also detect these. Well, this data, you see an example over here. This is the website. It has certain tab sheets, in this case, on the product detail page for, well, the data sheet, which contains text like this, the width times height times depth, etc. So all the data which is on the website. And we convert this into a structured format so that we have a separate width, a separate height, a separate depth, and all the other information is there. And optionally, we are also able to scrape the images or maybe some PDF files like related to the data sheets that might be on the website, and maybe even also related products. So that's basically the first step. So then we have some structured data available. But now, of course, we need to, well, maybe combine it with the other structured data. And we have data from the supplier, but it's in their taxonomy, it's in their vocabulary, I would say. So we need to convert it to the right formats that we would like to require it. So, well, we can use the automatic classification for this, AI classification, but also the conversion of the features and the values. So, well, the way that it works is that you are able to just upload a file that you would have had from the supplier. So let's assume an Excel file. And in the next step, we can then say, well, okay, let me just identify what is in the Excel file. So the first column, A, is a product ID. Well, that's a product ID. The next one is a description and the name. Well, I identify these as text fields which describe the product, so both descriptions. When for the other features, other values, other columns, for example, the width and the height, well, they are actually features. So I'm just going to identify what is what. And the reason for it is that we are going to use all the fields that are labeled as a description also for the automatic classification. And so we can use the product name, sometimes maybe even their own product category, which they had on their own website, for example, their own taxonomy. Maybe we can also use the brand. We can just pick whatever we want that we give as input to the automatic classification, which is actually the next step. So if we take that, then we can see, okay, we are going to choose a certain taxonomy structure. And this can be a standard like item. some version, maybe in some language. This can also be your own proprietary data model, and that we have trained before. And then it will say, well, looking at the names and the descriptions, we are going to predict what kind of product category belongs to this product. This is actually a top 5 that we will return, but also the confidence level. So we see that in this case, for 49%, it is 94%. Sorry, it is a ceiling wall luminaire. And of course, it might also be the second one or third one. You can just choose it, and you can even manually override it. Well, then we have classified all the products into the right category, which is nice, because then we say, okay, now we have, for a certain category, we know these products belong to that one. And now we can say, well, in the next step, if we want to convert it, so we can see, okay, these are the features and the values that were supplied by the supplier. So the width, the height, the depth, etc. You can recognize this from the scraping results. And we now need to map it to our standards. In this case, item. So the width is the width, which is quite obvious. But as you can see, there's a height and there's a depth over here, and there's only one feature, height/depth, in the item model. So we need to make, well, a selection over there. Again, we can choose from the list. So you can sort of map it, but also you're able to convert the data. So for example, if the unit of measure is slightly different, then we can say, well, this set of kilograms, for example, it should be matched to grams or centimeters to millimeters. And also, if we have alphanumeric values, like a list of colors, then we are also able to map these colors, in this case, the material, also map this material to the list of values that we have in our data model. So it's not just mapping the features itself, but also the feature values. And again, like I said, for the numeric values, we can also convert well to other default units of measures. So this one results in, again, an output, which is then in your standard, in this case, item. But it can also be GS1, can also be your own proprietary data model. And of course, we have all different ways of getting this output in Excel, in a BME-CAD file, directly into the itemX system. And those are all possibilities, of course. So then we have said, okay, well, now we have converted the data and classified it to the right structured format, but it might be that there's still some data missing because it might be that there's some data in PDF files, in text files, in images, etc. So the next step, we're going to use also AI technology to extract that data. Well, we can feed it with all kinds of information. So Excel files containing descriptions, for example, but also PDF files, also images and other types. And then the system will say, well, let's see if we can find the required features in the sources that we have supplied. So in this example, we have a miniature circuit breaker. Well, it has in the title, it already says a C jar, for example, and the C jar is then recognized and also mapped to the feature release characteristic, and it gives them the value C. So this is sort of like the proposal which the AI comes up with and said, well, looking at your data, probably these are the values that you should have. Well, we can learn the system by approving this or by rejecting it. And so the system will learn from your usage, so it will get better the more that you use it. Well, this is from a text source. For example, if we have a PDF source, well, we found on page 114 in this case, we found this product ID, which is the same one as over here. And in this table, of course, there's the number of polls and there's the rated current. And those are the values that we actually are also able to recognize and also to assign it to the features of this product class. In this case, the MCB product class, which has these features. So again, it's something that the system already does for you. So you just need to review it and, well, tell them it's okay or not okay. And if you find some other data, you can also define your own rules, which you can add to it so that it even gets smarter for the next product to also recognize that the UL 489 means that the color is blue. I don't know, something like that. So there's something that you can add as well. Okay, then looking at images, for example. Well, I've got an example over here. I got another one for the MCB. And then by just looking at the image, we can already identify that the number of polls in this case is 2. So that's the one thing that has been recognized. But also it is able to recognize the text which is visible on the image. So in this case, the DC and the 20 is something that has been recognized. and is also being proposed in the system. As you can see, it's multi-language, so this is case is Dutch, but it is able to recognize all kinds of languages from the images. So this is a great way to actually enhance it. Well, what if this is not enough? Because the supplier says, well, this is all the data that I have, and I still have a lot of features which might be missing. Then we can also take the next step and then see if we can find something on the internet. What we do is that we have the AON number, so the GTIN number, and in the background, we're going to use that to sort of do a Google search on that number. We get a search results, of course, and our AI is examining the results and see if it's a product detail page or not. And if it's a product detail page, it will automatically scrape the data and map it again to your data model. It can also be done in multiple languages. As you can see, this is a French example where we have a French website describing this product, and it is able to extract the 30 milliamperes from this value, courant de défaut nominal, and it also mapped this with this feature. And also it converted this to 0.03 amperes, because the default unit of measure in this case was ampere and not milliampere. So this is the way that it looks, and this is the way that it works. So you can, if you have such a blue icon, which means it's coming from the internet, you just click on it and you see the source. And the same is true for the PDF file or the image file. If you click on it, you get a pop-up with the details where it extracted the feature information from. Well, in the end, you can export it, of course, to any format that you would like, or also directly send it back to Wetamix. So that way you have enriched your data, both from a structural source, but also from the unstructured sources like images and PDF files and text. So how can you apply this? Well, actually, there are two ways to do this. You can say, well, very nice. Suppose I'm a wholesaler or retailer. Well, we are using this tooling, the AI, to automatically enrich and convert the data. There's also a way to say, well, why should we do this? Why not give these tools to the wholesaler, to the supplier, to your sort of delivering stores, and say, well, now you have the tool. Now you can also enrich it yourself. And this might open up another sort of possibility to do some data monetization, because you can say, well, we can do it for you. Okay, that's nice. But in the end, we might charge you some money for it. Or you can do it yourself, and then you just deliver us the data in the right formats. So I know that some of the larger wholesalers are acting and thinking about this way to say, well, we want to promote and stimulate that our suppliers are delivering the right data. We also give them the tools. And if they're not able to, well, we will do it for you, but we will charge you some extra money for it. So this might open some new data monetization possibilities. Okay, so we're entering the end. So let me end the previous poll. Well, I think 75% was in the middle, 20% was very challenging, and only a small percentage of 5% was not challenging, so they have not a lot of problems. But of course, we're also interested to see, for another poll, if you look at this data, and then we can say, well, maybe, let me also start this one. How interested are you, once you've seen this, to see, well, maybe it's also something for us? So yes, we're very interested, or, well, we're not interested at all, maybe later in the future, but not at this time. So we're really interested in that as well. So please feel free to enter it into your poll. Well, also, I would like to see if there are any questions. So let me see if I can go to the Q&A session. Well, not a lot of questions right now. So maybe everything was quite clear. Or if you do have some questions, then feel free to ask them. Let me go back to the poll. Well, it's quite nice to see that a lot of people are interested also in these kind of AI applications. So right now, it's about 33% is very interested, and 61% is somewhat interested, and 6% is not a priority for us right now. Okay, well, if there are no other questions, then I think, well, we can leave it up to this. So I really would like to thank you for your time and attention. Also on behalf of ProPlanet, of course. And we really would like to see you back next time in our webinars. And of course, if you do have any questions, then just also feel free to give us a call or to give us an email, and we're happy to answer that then. Oh, there's one question, so let me just answer that in the end. The question is, are we using pre-trained models for the classification? Well, actually, depends a little bit. We actually use both. So if you have a proprietary data model, if you already have data which is already classified manually, then we are able to create a new machine learning algorithm based on your existing data. So we train the algorithms with your data so that it is able to automatically classify it for new products, which it never have seen before. However, if you have a new taxonomy structure, for example, say, well, we have something new and we need to sort of map our current data into the new taxonomy structure, then we use some other techniques. And then, of course, we are also able to propose a mapping which is slightly less accurate than the previous one. And therefore, we're also going to use already some trained large language models in order to do this. So I hope that answers the question. Okay, well, thank you very much. Happy to see you next time. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact us. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you.